Got to speak, feel me? What you doing next?
We want financials.
Tell him we going for Canelo next.
Yes. Let's
him.
go. Canelo, come on.
You heard it from him.
We are ready.
Just when we all thought the chance of a Canelo Alvarez versus Crawford super fight was dead, things have taken a dramatic twist. Saudi boxing chief His Excellency Turki Alal Sheikh, after earlier withdrawing his offer for the showdown, has had a change of heart. The new twist came soon after Canelo's latest victory over Berlanga, reigniting hope for the monumental clash.
Crawford, I see he wants to fight. He's made it clear. Do fights like that help your legacy, or do you feel like that's something that's not worth it to you?
Everything in my career, every fight make my legacy.
Following Canelo's dominant showing against Berlanga today, the saga took an unexpected turn. Canelo showed once again why he is considered one of the best in the sport, outclassing Berlanga and winning by unanimous decision. The win marked by a brutal third-round knockdown that re-established Canelo's dominance and set social media ablaze. Ablaze just as fans began to enjoy Canelo's latest triumph. Alal and Crawford were seen watching UFC 36 at the Las Vegas Sphere, not too far from the T-Mobile Arena where Canelo's fight had taken place. Suddenly, Crawford took to Instagram Live alongside Al Sheikh to reignite talks of a fight with Canelo. The interaction was unexpected, but it quickly grabbed the attention of fans.
If I'm easy work, I heard him say, I'm easy work. If I was easy work, you would take all that money that he's offering.
Turki, tell them we are going to go for Canelo next. Crawford said during the live stream that Sheikh wasted no time in agreeing, responding with, "Yes, let's go, Canelo. Come on, we are ready." Crawford, showing his confidence, added, "You heard it from him. Just put me in the game." Canelo-Crawford is the biggest fight in boxing. The story of this potential fight has been a rough ride for the last couple of months in 2023. Alal Sheikh, chairman of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, had set his sights on arranging a dream match between Canelo Alvarez and Crawford. Both men, two of the greatest pound-for-pound boxers in modern history, had fans talking about the possibility. The fight seemed to be at the top of Al Sheikh's wish list, and negotiations reportedly began.
Said before, and this is my opinion, I don't start to talking about these things. He started and he said he respects me.
But then communication between Canelo's camp and Al Heyman broke down. It was a huge blow for fight fans as the offer was abruptly withdrawn. Alal Sheikh expressed his frustration, noting that Canelo was not interested in moving forward. His decision to stop pursuing the fight was later confirmed through social media, where he announced plans to focus on other boxers and even hinted at taking Crawford in a different direction.
Response to Turkey is this. Yesterday, they text me. They text me and say, we can talk about the fight.
In August 2024, Alal Sheikh wrote on social media, "I decided to disregard the Canelo fight as I don't want it anymore. Instead, I will be focusing on bigger fights, especially for the legend Crawford." This statement seemed final. Fans were left disappointed, wondering if they would ever see Canelo and Crawford share the ring. The tension didn't stop there. Canelo Alvarez soon responded to Alal Sheikh's public statements, claiming that he didn't like the way the Saudi chief did business.
Canelo, he can be beat. He's been beat before, so he can definitely, Bud got the tools to beat him. Bud got it in him. He has it in him.
This remark set off another round of heated exchanges, and things got personal quickly. Alal Sheikh fired back with his own pointed comments. "I heard that Canelo said that he respects me, but doesn't like the way we do business." Alal Sheikh tweeted in response to Canelo's comments, "Whether he respects me doesn't matter. As for the way I do business, I know why he doesn't like it, because I only target big fights at fair prices. So of course anyone who likes easy fights won't like that."
Canelo fight, realistically left your mind once he said he's not interested, or you still pursuing it?
Not at all. I think business talks.
The tension continued to escalate as a leak touched on Canelo's 2022 loss to Dimitri Bivol, suggesting that Canelo had been avoiding tougher opponents ever since Alal Sheikh accused Canelo of looking for easier fights while avoiding bigger challenges like Crawford and David Benavidez. Also, I'm not the one who's afraid of fighting Benavidez, Alal Sheikh wrote in his tweet. Therefore, I knew he was wasting our time and making excuses with big amounts of money that can't be paid, so I'm continuing my way to make big fights that serve the boxing world, and he's on his way to making easy show-only fights. This jab at Canelo's choice of opponents caused ripples in the boxing world. Canelo's supporters defended their champion while critics began to question whether Alal Sheikh's words held some truth. The idea of Canelo avoiding difficult fights seemed unlikely to many considering his track record of facing tough opponents. Still, the accusations created a narrative of unfinished business between Canelo and the Saudi boxing promoter. This sudden change in tone from Alal Sheikh was surprising, given his earlier statements after publicly distancing himself from Canelo just weeks prior. Why was he now so eager to reignite the fight discussions? The answer likely lies in a combination of ambition and ego for Alik. The opportunity to promote what would be one of the biggest fights in boxing history is too big to pass up. The rivalry between Crawford and Canelo is not only a battle of skills, but also a clash of legacies. Both fighters are considered among the best of their generation, and a showdown between them would be nothing short of historic. Also, Sheikh's goal of creating massive global boxing events plays a key role in his decision to pursue the fight once again. Meanwhile, Crawford, who has already cemented his place as one of boxing's legends, is eager to take on the biggest challenge available with his recent victories and new title in a fourth weight division. Crawford is hungry for more. Canelo represents the ultimate test, and Crawford knows that a victory over the Mexican superstar would solidify his status as one of the greatest fighters of all time. Despite Alal Sheikh and Crawford's public call-out, the fight still faces some challenges. Canelo's camp has yet to respond directly to the renewed offer, and the previous breakdown in negotiations suggests that the two sides have more work to do before a deal can be struck. Canelo's upcoming plans also complicate the matter fresh off his win against Berlanga. Canelo may be looking to defend his titles against other challengers before considering Crawford. There's also the question of whether Canelo is willing to negotiate with Alec after the public back and forth, especially given his previous criticisms of the Saudi promoter's business approach. However, the beauty of such a massive fight may ultimately prove irresistible, and the potential payday and the chance to settle the score once and for all could bring both camps to the negotiating table. However, it's just recently that Canelo Alvarez made it clear that he's not interested in fighting Terence Crawford, and according to him, the fight was never something he sought out. Alvarez sent a strong message to His Excellency Turki Alal about Canelo's position. He didn't ask for the fight, and he doesn't care about Turkey's interest in it. This announcement came after talks spread about a potential mega fight between Alvarez and the soon-to-be 37-year-old Crawford. For fans, it seemed like a dream matchup. Crawford has been on a hot streak, and a fight against Canelo could have boosted his legacy, but Al insists that it's not something he's been looking for. Canelo claims the idea for the fight came entirely from Crawford's side. He believes that Crawford is pushing for the fight to secure a major payday, not to cement his legacy as Crawford's camp suggests. I was texted yesterday about a potential fight against Crawford in February. Canelo said he made it clear that his focus was on the fight with Edgar Berlanga, which happened today. Crawford needs to fight Teofimo first, and then we'll see. Alvarez said, reacting to Turkey's statement that he's no longer interested in organizing the fight between the two champions.
Crawford needs to fight Teofimo first, and then we'll see, right?
From Canelo's perspective, Crawford is chasing a big payout, which Alvarez believes is the main reason the fight keeps coming up. I'm not asking for that fight. Crawford wants to make it because it's a payday. Obviously, I don't want that fight. Alvarez emphasized he even went as far as to suggest that Teofimo Lopez deserves the fight more than Crawford. Canelo's message was blunt and dismissive, reinforcing that he has no interest in facing Crawford unless certain conditions are met. It's unclear whether Canelo was entirely serious about Crawford fighting Teofimo, but he seemed to imply that it's something Crawford should consider, His Excellency. Turkey's Alik, known for putting together high-profile matches, shouldn't have trouble organizing a Crawford-Teofimo bout if both fighters are interested. Lopez has been vocal lately, practically begging for a fight against Crawford. He's even willing to move up to 154 lbs to make it happen. However, Crawford has shown little interest in fighting Teofimo because the payday wouldn't be nearly as big as a fight against Canelo or some of the other top-tier names in boxing for Crawford. The Canelo fight is about more than just legacy. It's about securing one of the biggest paychecks of his refer. Canelo reiterated that he never asked to fight Crawford and that the idea of the match was entirely on Crawford's side. In his eyes, it was not a big loss that Turki was no longer interested in making the fight because it was never on his radar. Alvarez believed that Crawford should stick to fighters in or around his own weight class, instead of chasing a payday in a division where he's never competed. If Crawford is serious about facing Canelo, Alvarez made it clear that he would need to prove himself at 168 lbs by fighting and beating some of the top names in the division. Canelo mentioned David Ben and David Morrell as two names that Crawford should consider facing if he wants to be taken seriously. But as Alvarez pointed out, Crawford is not fighting those guys because the risk of losing is too high. Alvarez took a dig at Crawford's recent performance, noting that Crawford couldn't even beat 4-pounder Israel Madam without controversy.
Right hand wasn't bothering me. I wasn't really too much worried about the right hand. He landed a couple of times.
Crawford's fight against Madoff was a grueling contest that ended with many fans and pundits questioning the outcomes. Alvarez hinted that Crawford looked like he had been run over by a train by the time the fight was over. My response to Turki is this. Yesterday they texted me and said we can talk about that fight in February with Crawford. I said I'm not going to talk about any other fight. I'm focused 100% on this fight. Canelo said he was showing his commitment to his immediate priorities, including his match against Berlanga. If Turki wants to push for a fight between Canelo and Crawford, Alvarez made it clear that certain conditions would need to be met if he wants to work with me. It's in my way, not their way. I don't need it. Canelo said that about the potential matchup. He emphasized that if Crawford wants the fight, he will need to approach Canelo on his terms, not the other way around.
Well, Turki said he's no longer you're no longer in the running of working with him for the Crawford fight.
I don't really care about it. Look, I'm focused 100% on my fight.
Crawford, Canelo said, must earn the fight. You can't approach me. I respect everybody and I respect Turki. If he wants to work with me, it needs to be my way. I have nothing to do with Crawford. Alvarez said, in Canelo's view, that Crawford hasn't done enough to deserve a fight with him. The implication is that Crawford needs to prove his worth by fighting top-tier competition at 168 lbs, and only then would Canelo consider stepping into the ring with him. At stake for Alvarez is legacy and defending his divisional dominance. With the Canelo fight seemingly off the table, Crawford will need to focus on other opponents. One name that's been circulating is Jaron Boots. Andis is a young, hungry fighter who has been making waves in the welterweight division. A fight between Crawford and Ennis could be an exciting matchup that would challenge Crawford's skills and help solidify his legacy. Additionally, Canelo mentioned that Crawford should consider giving Israel Madrimov a rematch, especially given the controversy surrounding their last fight. If Crawford can win those two fights without controversy, it could significantly boost his standing in the sport, while Crawford continues to chase fights in divisions outside his comfort zone. Canelo remains the king of the 168-pound division. Alvarez is widely regarded as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and he has consistently proven himself against top-tier competition. If a fight between Crawford and Canelo ever happens, it's likely that Canelo would have the advantage. Despite Crawford's impressive resume, he has never competed at 168 lbs, and it's uncertain how his skills would translate to a higher weight class. Meanwhile, Canelo has been dominant in the division, and even though he's had some tough fights recently, his experience and power at 168 make him a formidable opponent for anyone. If anything, Crawford's recent performances suggest that he might struggle against someone like Canelo, who has faced and beaten some of the best fighters in the sport. If Crawford truly wants to challenge Canelo, he will need to prove himself at 168 lbs first, either by fighting Teofimo Lopez or taking on some of the other top names in the division. Until then, Canelo has made it clear that he's not interested in. Canelo Alvarez retained his unified super middleweight belts with a decisive performance against Edgar Berlanga in their bout. Canelo demonstrated his dominance early by dropping Berlanga in the third round. Although Berlanga managed to get back up, he was thoroughly outclassed by Canelo throughout the fight. This victory underscored Canelo's superior skill and strength in the ring. The fight against Berlanga had faced criticism before it even began. Oscar de la Hoya, a prominent figure in boxing and promoter of Berlanga, had disparaged the matchup, calling it a snooze fest. This criticism reflected concerns about the challenge Berlanga posed to Canelo, with many feeling that the fight was a mismatch looking ahead. Canelo has several intriguing options for his next bout in the super middleweight division. One notable potential opponent is Christian, and he has expressed a strong desire to fight the best after his recent victory over Sergey Dayanenko MB. Billy is set to face Gimli Munguia later this month, and a victory in that bout could position him as a viable candidate for a future fight with Canelo. A win over Munguia would enhance IM Bill's credentials and set up a rematch with Canelo, which could be highly anticipated. Hard work, easy fight. Yeah, hard work, easy fight. Another significant alternative for Canelo is a rematch with Caleb Plant. Canelo previously defeated Plant in 2021, stopping him in the 11th round after a heated build-up during their initial fight. Tensions were high, with Plant attempting to slap Canelo during a face-off, leading to a retaliatory cut under Plant's eye by Alvarez. Plant has since voiced his desire for a rematch, and his recent win over Trevor McKim adds momentum to the narrative of a possible second encounter. This rematch could offer Plant an opportunity to avenge his loss and provide Canelo with a chance to further solidify his dominance in the division. Canelo's future also holds the possibility of facing Terence Crawford or David Benavidez in high-profile bouts. A fight with Crawford has been a topic of discussion for some time. Initially, Canelo dismissed the idea, claiming that a victory over Crawford, who fights in a lower weight class, would not add significant value to his legacy. However, Canelo has since softened his stance, suggesting that such a fight might still be feasible depending on financial terms. Crawford's prowess and reputation make this a highly intriguing matchup, but it remains contingent on the financial negotiations and agreements between the fighters. A fight with David Benavidez is another potential blockbuster. Canelo had reportedly sought $200 million for a bout with Benavidez, a figure that was considered excessive and possibly a way to avoid the matchup unless Canelo revises his financial demands. A fight with Benavidez seems unlikely in the immediate future. The financial aspect will play a crucial role in determining whether this highly anticipated clash can come to fruition. There is also an outside chance of Canelo stepping into the ring with Conor McGregor. The two have engaged in verbal sparring on social media, with McGregor criticizing Canelo's footwork and suggesting he could defeat the Mexican fighter. Canelo responded with a calm demeanor, asserting that he could handle McGregor with just one hand. Despite McGregor's focus on UFC, the possibility of a crossover boxing match has not been entirely ruled out. McGregor has expressed a desire to stay active and has mentioned exploring opportunities beyond UFC, potentially including a fight with Canelo if the conditions are right.